Hello and welcome to this A-Level PE screencast on guidance. If we look at the specification, so far we have looked at classification of skill and stages of learning. Stages of learning being the cognitive, associative and autonomous. Today we are going to be looking at types of guidance. So in terms of the specification, we also have to be looking at practice types and feedback. All of that marries in together with regards to the language we'll be using. And then after that, we'll be looking at transfer of skills, theories of learning, and memory models. So when we're talking about guidance, specifically, we need to know about verbal guidance, visual guidance, manual guidance, mechanical guidance. Then we also need to be aware of the advantages and disadvantages of using each type of guidance. Simply put, when you learn a new skill, you will have some guidance to kind of help you achieve that skill and become better at that skill until you eventually become at the autonomous stage of learning, when the guidance will change throughout that process of cognitive, associative and autonomous stages of learning. All this is saying is, as you learn a skill, you need to be guided in certain ways: verbally, visually, manually and mechanically. These are two examples of questions that you may receive with regards to guidance. You have question 1 there, using sporting examples that explain both visual and verbal guidance, worth 2 marks. And then we have an evaluation question. So evaluate the use of verbal and manual guidance for a beginner learning a movement skill. So we're going to move on. The first type of guidance we're going to be looking at is verbal guidance. Okay, and what we need to know about verbal guidance is it's when a coach provides explanations or instructions. So that is what verbal guidance is. It's when coach or teacher provides explanations or instructions. For example, a coach instructing a player to use the side of his foot when passing in football. So if you had to describe or explain verbal guidance using the example, when coach provides explanations or instructions, for example, instructing a player to use the side of his foot when passing in football. Now we need to be aware that verbal guidance actually is used alongside visual guidance. When they're used together, it works brilliantly, and we're going to come on to visual guidance. But hopefully you'd understand that usually if I wanted to teach all of you a new skill, and you've never done it before and you don't know it, I wouldn't just go, okay, what I want you to do is pass the ball side of your foot. I would probably demonstrate it visually. We're going to move on to that though. Verbal guidance is most effective for autonomous stage of learning. So when verbal guidance is used on its own, which it rarely is, but if it is used on its own, it's most effective for the autonomous stage of learner, or the autonomous stage of learning. And it's least effective for the cognitive stage of learning. If I wanted you guys to do a new skill and I literally just verbalized it to you, you're probably going to struggle with that. So we need to know what the advantages are for verbal guidance. So for the cognitive learner, it is good because it can focus our attention. That's a positive with regards to verbal guidance for a cognitive learner. It's the only benefit really, is it focuses attention for the cognitive learner, but it also does focus attention for the autonomous learner as well. Verbal guidance can be quick, okay, and it's done during performance. So for example, if I want my player, in fact, I'll give you this next example, then I'll give my example here. So in-depth understanding of skills and tactics. So for example, if I was on the side of the pitch, I could say to my player, push up, hold on, okay, coming inside you, kind of trap back. For an autonomous learner, that they would know that really quickly. Just that verbal guidance, done performance really quickly, and it is kind of focusing on tactics. So they are the advantages of verbal guidance. Focus attention for the cognitive learner, can be done quickly during the performance, and also you've got in-depth understanding of skills and tactics, i.e. I can verbalise tactics and skills to you as a performer. Negatives are, if incorrect instruction, or if instruction is incorrect, this can lead to poor technique, which is kind of self-explanatory, and it can lead to information overload. Now these negatives really do kind of implement a cognitive learner or have an effect on a cognitive learner. So if the instruction is incorrect, it can lead to poor technique, and it can lead to information overload. If I'm giving you loads of information or loads of instructions at one time, this could have a negative effect. So, visual guidance. What is it? So, visual guidance is when a coach provides demonstrations, DVDs, and videos to aid learning. E.g., a coach demonstrating a passing netball. Now, as I said, with regards to verbal guidance being used with visual guidance is used alongside verbal guidance. And this is most effective for a cognitive stage learner. So visual guidance really helps a cognitive stage learner. Positives of visual guidance: helps create a mental picture. So remember, if you're a beginner or you're at the cognitive stage of learning, you may not know what the skill looks like. So it's really important that if you have a demonstration, you can see, you've got that mental picture. Mental picture is obviously key with regards to terminology for the cognitive learner. Now this gives the cognitive learner an understanding of the movement required. So that's really good with regards to the positives. Negatives of visual guidance: incorrect demonstration can lead to poor technique. And we also have, if demonstration is too fast, difficult to see, it can lead to poor technique. So that's something else we need to be aware of. If you're at the back of a group of people and you can't really see the demonstration, and you go off and do it, you're not going to perform very well. Finally, we have manual and mechanical guidance. Now, the description of them are different and what they are is different. However, the advantages and disadvantages are the same. So, manual guidance is when the coach physically manipulates or uses physical manipulation to aid in your learning. For example, a coach physically guiding an athlete through a golf swing or a backhand in tennis, and the coach physically kind of manipulating your arm to do the action with you. That is manual. Mechanical is the use of equipment or aids to aid learning. And the picture there, stabilizers, is a really good example of mechanical guidance. But in terms of sports, we have got a coach using a harness to help the trampolinist to practice a somersault, would be an example of mechanical guidance. I think a really good one of this is if you go to like a town centre or a busy town centre or a fair, and you've got these trampolines that children can bounce on, and as you know, they've got the harnesses on, they're bouncing really high and having a great time. So the harness is there to help them. Now, we have to think about advantages of this. So advantages with regards to manual and mechanical guidance are, first of all, it helps the cognitive learner. Okay, so it's the most effective for the cognitive stage of learning. And we have got, it increases confidence. You see those children on those trampolines in the kind of shopping centres, and you see that they're having a great time and they're confident and they are feeling safe and secure. So it increases confidence, it increases safety, and it develops this kinesthesis, this feeling of doing it correctly. Let's move back to the cyclist, the bike again, the stabilizers. So you're on your stabilizers as a kid and you're having a whale of a time. You're confident you can ride your bike. You're safe. Okay, so that makes you feel absolutely fine with regards to riding your bike. Then it develops this kinesthesis of getting used to pedaling. I remember when you're younger and you're really nervous about pedaling, but if you're using stabilizers, you're pedaling, you are developing a sort of feeling with regards to performing the skill correctly. However, what happens that first time you take your stabilizers off? You've become over-reliant on them. So that is a real big negative. You become over-reliant on these mechanical, this equipment, these aids to help you. So when you're riding your bike, all of a sudden your stabilizers are off, and you've realised you've come over-reliant on, and you fall off your bike. Or you've fallen off your bike and you've realised, I've become over-reliant on my stabilisers there because I've got so used to them. And they develop, or this can develop, a false kinesthesis. So this feeling that you developed when you were using stabilisers isn't really the right feeling, the feeling to actually execute the skill correctly. So it can have a negative effect in terms of developing false kinesthesis, that feeling that you get. So they are your Cornell notes. Make sure you have got questions, please. So not just information. Write down some decent questions for this, and I'll see you in lesson. Thank you.